Week 8 action on tap, Drew. Are you ready to talk some NFL, man? I just got done talking college. Great show on Wednesday. But I was thinking the whole way through, man, you know what? I'd really like to be talking NFL right now.
You really like to be talking to Drew right now.
Was that what? No, I don't think that had anything to do with it.
I think that has everything to do with it.
We missed you, buddy. We missed you. I'm glad you're back.
I appreciate the day off.
Absolutely. We're glad you're back, and we're glad that we're going to get to talk some NFL action. But unfortunately, if you're just joining us and you watched that Thursday night game like we did, we have to talk about that first. And I'm going to let you describe it because you had the perfect description.
No, you know what? I'll be right back because I forgot something. Why don't you start us off and let us know how wonderful of a time Thursday night was?
Oh, it was probably the best game I've watched on prime time since the last game that came up on prime time, which was the Patriots and the Jets. Absolute garbage. I watched that game. Oh, man. It wasn't even in a hurricane this time. At least last week when it was 9-0, the 49ers had the excuse of, it was raining really hard, and it's really, really difficult to play in those kind of conditions, yada, yada, yada.
Why don't you start us
I don't think the Vikings have that excuse. I think you look at the way the Vikings have played, and I'm scratching my head saying, why haven't they done any better? I don't know. Again, you were the one saying this has been pretty disappointing, right? You're disappointed in the Vikings not being able to go beat up on the Redskins. I am too.
Yeah, to me, I say this very nicely. It was a waste of time to watch this game. It was a very ugly game. It was a very disappointing game. Minus a few things. Adrian Peterson going, I think, was he now 6th overall, all-time leading rusher. Ian, good to see you, man. I am disappointed in the Vikings. I think this is a chance for the Vikings inside a dome to put up some points against a team that literally doesn't know which direction they're going. They got an interim head coach. Yeah, they got some players on that defense. That front seven's pretty stout. It just really showed to me the weakness the Vikings have going into this postseason.
Are they fool's gold? I want to know. What's your thoughts?
Well, let me finish what I'm saying. I think it shows a weakness the Vikings have, and I think we all know what this is.
Hi, Nathan. Good to see you.
It's their offensive line. And if they cannot fix this now, they're going to literally get in the playoffs and then lose game one. And that's where the fool's gold comes in.
With home field advantage, if they can somehow outlast the Packers, is that going to make a difference? Do you think this is... I don't know.
I mean, it was the Redskins.
I know.
You got a team that's winning games, playoff bounds in a sense, and then you got a team that's literally going
Jacob,
nowhere.
good to see you, man. No, I definitely agree. And it was a close game all the way. But I'll say this. I get what you're saying. Yeah, the points didn't go up on the board. They didn't really light things on fire. But if you look at these stat lines, they didn't do too bad. I mean, they kept Case Keenum to 130 yards, which is usually more difficult, but they only threw 16 times. On the reverse, Cousins put up 285. You had Diggs put up 143 yards receiving. You had Dalvin Cook get 73 yards through the air and 98 on the ground. He scored a touchdown. You see that stat line, and you're like, this should be a 35-point game, right?
You would think. But even though Kirk Cousins didn't make mistakes, he also didn't put the ball in the end zone either.
Right.
And it's not like he was out there just throwing dimes. Maybe missing Thielen's that big of a piece
23
missing.
to 26. That's okay. I get what you're saying. It was maybe some ugly passes in there, but
there's been other stat lines where it's 23 to 26, and
Well, yeah, but usually it's like 2 yards away from the line of scrimmage, and like, see, we're not even completing. I'll say this about the Redskins.
Nathan's agrees with me. They should have destroyed them, and they didn't. I think it shows a weakness.
Or are they just tougher now without Jay Gruden? Has the defense kind of turned a corner? Again, I understand it was a hurricane, but they just kept an undefeated team to 9 points. Now they're keeping a 5-2 team to 19. Maybe this defense has turned a corner with a new head coach. Maybe I'll be the guy looking at the bright side this time. Maybe this is the Redskins doing a good job instead of the Vikings doing a poor one. I don't know.
Maybe.
Again, you look at the stat lines, I think they look good, and then the Redskins did a good job of not breaking and letting them into the end zone.
Yeah.
Something to build on, especially if you're a Redskins fan, because you don't have a lot to cheer for.
It was an ugly game.
It was an ugly game. And again, a string of ugly games on prime time here. I thought at least the Eagles-Cowboys from, last Sunday night was going to be a good one. Drew, we're in the running for just terrible, terrible games. This week, Packers at Chiefs. Chiefs don't have a starting quarterback. They're probably getting freight trained.
Whoa.
Spoiler alert on that. Monday night, Dolphins Steelers. Neither of those teams have a starting quarterback.
Whoa. No, that was right.
I think they're both right. What is going on with primetime football right now, man? There's nothing going on.
I think you're underplaying the Packers and Chiefs, but that's just me.
I think that has the potential that if the defense steps up and Matt Moore plays well, that they could keep it close for a while, and maybe the game stays interesting.
Yeah.
But more than likely,
the Chiefs are winning. I'm just saying.
More than likely, when you come in with a backup quarterback, it's not good. Not good at all. I'm just saying maybe now, at this point here, We need to flex some of these games into the primetime slots instead of saying
This could be pre-Super Bowl.
Dolphins
Sunday night.
Steelers. Well, they're both AFC. I know.
Sunday night.
And Jacob James says, only Washington team doing good is the Nationals. He says, go Nats in Game 3. They have surprised me. I thought Houston would put up more of a fight than they have. Props to them for their fast start. Can you say the Redskins are doing that bad when you look at the talent on there? Again, they've had flashes where they've impressed me. I realize the record is not what you want to bring home. You don't want to be sitting at 1-6 at this point in the season. But, again, they threw the ball with Case Keenum early. That kind of dried up a little bit. Now they're playing good defense. We're seeing some spark. We're seeing some fight out of a team that normally would quit when you're sitting at 1-6. Most teams usually do. You look like the Bengals at 0-6 or 0-7.
Yeah. Jacob Reynolds says the Chiefs will beat the Packers. See, I told you I like that guy.
I know. Also, Ian says, whoa, Steelers Monday Night Football is always great. And I don't know, is it Mason Rudolph this week?
For what? The blind?
At least they're playing the Dolphins. They'll probably win it. But then again, Ryan Fitzpatrick, you never know what you're going to get. It's like a roulette wheel. Sometimes it comes up and he's throwing 300 yards. Sometimes it comes up, he throws 73 and 3 picks.
The only way this game's good is if the announcers make it good. That's how you like that.
Ian. More on that later. Why don't we talk about our first game of the week here, Drew? We'll talk about the Seahawks and the Falcons. Because, again, I look at this game and I say, another backup quarterback. Another snooze fest going on here. The Seahawks kind of got punished last week against the Ravens. They're probably hurting from that, especially in a division where the Rams are still in that race. The 49ers, undefeated. That loss looks tough. I think they respond here.
Yeah, they definitely got pretty much punched in the mouth last week against the Ravens team. I thought you were a Matt Schaub kind of guy.
Yeah, former Houston Texans quarterback. He might be the best quarterback I've ever seen. No. He did have a good year or two in Houston. Yeah. And then after that, pretty much nothing. He's been a career backup, to be honest. If you would have asked me who was Atlanta's backup beforehand, I probably wouldn't have known it was Matt Schaub. I thought he retired like 8 years ago.
Well, not 8.
And I think this game might show that he probably should have retired about 8 years ago, because I think the Seahawks are going to absolutely dominate this offensive line for the Falcons. Yes, I understand that they have weapons. Maybe they spread the ball around a little bit. Maybe we see some passing yards. But is anyone picking the Seahawks to lose this game? Anyone betting on the Falcons at this point? I think we've both been burned by them this season. I think we're both out on the Falcons.
Oh, I'm done picking the Falcons.
What if it's Falcons-Dolphins?
Dolphins.
Okay.
I'm done picking the Falcons. I'm just
All
done.
right.
George, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. Jacob James says, I picked up Pitt's defense this week in fantasy terms. It better be a low-scoring game for the Fens.
Their defense has been good this year. And again, they are winning games on the backs of these defenders, making up for guys like Mason Rudolph and what's his name? Devlin, whatever, the third string quarterback for him. I always forget. I always remember the first name. I can never remember his last. This defense is a good pickup. I like that, especially against the Dolphins. There's a good chance they frustrate him. But like I said, it's Fitzpatrick. You never know. This might be the week he decides he's going to put 38 points on the scoreboard. It's a good gamble, though. Do it in fantasy, start him, feel good, and just know there's that like 8% chance that you come up and get absolutely walloped. But it's a defense. You should be able to recover.
Jacob Reynolds says that the Seahawks don't beat the Falcons or something really wrong. Hodges was the guy's name.
Hodges. Devlin Hodges.
Last week was, in a sense, not a fluke. It just, to be honest, the team that wanted it more won, and that was the Ravens. I don't think there's anything wrong with the Seahawks. I'm not saying they're...
I think they play a lot of those games that they keep people close.
Yeah, they're not like, I don't think they're 13-3 team or anything like that. I think they're going to lose some of these games, but I don't see them losing the Falcons. I know every given Sunday, but the Falcons are just depleted. I mean, it's sad.
Ian saying Seattle takes it. Atlanta is going for a high draft pick. Is it time to maybe move on from Matt Ryan? I think the answer is no, but I have to ask the question. If you get pick 1 or 2, Justin Herbert's staring you in the face, do you trade that away, or do you try to just go take the best positional player out there? Maybe take another receiver because you need one in Atlanta now that Mohamed Sanu is out of there? Mohamed Sanu?
If you're at that pick, you definitely look at trades. I mean, everyone looks at trades. Even people with quarterback needs at number 1 still look at what someone's willing to give them for that pick. You also can't pass on someone like obviously their pass rush is the most necessary thing for them to be picking here in this draft. Even if they think Matt Ryan's something, you need to...
Could use some secondary. Could probably use some linebackers and some pass rush. Could use another D tackle. Could use some offensive linemen that haven't seemed to work. Even though they just took 2 first-round offensive linemen.
They need
The problem's
they
clearly
need
aren't solved.
size on that defensive line.
Yeah.
They need a pass rush.
They need someone not named Grady Jarrett on that defensive
They need another linebacker, and then if Neal wouldn't keep getting hurt, yeah, I'd just say corners is really their issue. But with him constantly getting hurt, the whole secondary needs to relook.
I'm with you. Jonathan says, let's go Eagles. We are getting them right after this game. Also, Jacob says, Justin Herbert, sit him a year behind Ryan. He'd do it. Again, it's very, very difficult because what happens if you don't take those quarterbacks and they go on to be great? It's really going to look bad on you as a GM. And the reverse. What happens if you go and reach to take a quarterback and they suck? You don't get too many gambles here. I don't know that I'm moving on from Matt Ryan at this point. I'm going to go with the guy that has been an MVP before, has gotten you to a Super Bowl, and just roll the dice and say there's a chance that he gets back to that level again. He's like 33 now, I think. 32, 33. So he's getting a little bit older, but he hasn't had a lot of injuries before now. I think my goal from here on out is we protect Matt Ryan first and foremost. I know we just spent 2 first-round picks on offensive linemen, but if that doesn't cut it, we'll spend the money in free agency. We'll do whatever it takes to protect my now aging veteran quarterback and try to keep him upright and healthy for as many years as I can get out of him.
Jeremy, good to see you, man. He says it's not time to move away from Matt Ryan, but it is time to start looking at the future after him. So is this something kind of like the Patriots in a sense where they're always drafting a quarterback somewhere in the mid-round just to see what kind of happens if one pans out? Is that what we're saying, Jeremy? Because when you sit there and you give a high draft pick to one of these quarterbacks, it's pretty much cliche now. You start them as soon as you start losing or after year 1.
Now, Talon says trade Newton. If we're talking about from a Panthers perspective, it's difficult to work a trade with a guy who's being paid that much money at this point in the season because there is a hard cap in football. There's a certain dollar level you're not allowed to exceed, which means you're probably going to have to eat up bad contracts. And the question is it worth it to do that just to get Cam Newton off your books? I don't know. If I can get some draft picks and then maybe I eat one of those bad contracts, sure. But again, do you want to carry that dead cap space potentially multiple years forward because you just wanted Cam Newton gone and wanted an extra draft pick or two? What kind of draft pick do you think you get out of him here? Now that we're starting to see some injuries come in, a 3rd-round pick? Does someone go higher than that? Maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what the best trade partner would be here. A lot of these teams are already at the bottom and tanking. The Saints have their backup quarterback. The Jags seem pretty happy with Gardner Minshew in there. Broncos maybe, but what are they playing for?
They love veteran quarterbacks.
But what are they playing for? Is Cam Newton the starter next year and you don't have to... Didn't you just draft Drew Lock? Isn't he supposed to be the guy?
Well,
isn't that kind of like throwing your hands up and saying
he's in the 3rd round?
Second round, but yeah.
It was the 3rd round.
It was the 2nd round. That was Will Greer from West Virginia.
He might as well have been the 3rd round pick because it's not like they're not leaning towards
first rounder bust.
I don't know. To be honest, it's very interesting what kind of position the Carolina Panthers are in. I think they're in a great position, to be honest. I don't think they're trading him at all. I think he'll sit there, and I think it's Kyle Allen's job to lose. And if it goes in next year with the quarterback competition, so be it. Let Cam Newton get healthy. He brought you to a Super Bowl a long time ago. He didn't win it. This guy has given pretty much his body to the organization in Carolina. There's no way they're trading him unless the price is just extremely high and someone's just dying out there to get this guy. I don't see it.
Taylor also went on to say he doesn't have any more guaranteed money left, but you got to look at it from the other team's perspective. Why am I going to trade for this guy unless I plan to carry him on my roster? So I need to make that roster space. So they could cut him right now, but again, why cut him when you've already devoted the money? What are you signing at this point of the season that's better than what he can give you, even as a backup? Like, let's say something happens to Kyle Allen. Wouldn't you want a guy like Cam Newton waiting in the wings to come in and maybe we have a chance to win? I get it. He wasn't playing well with the Liz Frank injury, but when you're a running quarterback or you're any quarterback at all, it's hard playing with those foot injuries that make it hard to step into throws.
Yeah, I don't see him going anywhere.
I understand the thought process. If you're a Panthers fan, you want to cash out on the asset and say, let's move on with this guy winning his games, right? I understand that's what we want, but you got to look at the other side of the deal.
But not now. Not right now. Is it right now? Is it
at
time
the deadline?
Right now?
That's probably the best price you're going to get. Off-season, who's going to give you a big pick for Cam Newton? Nobody. It's probably the team right now with their quarterback missing that thinks they can get into the playoffs if they can float for a little while, and that's where you trade Cam Newton.
The Titans.
Well, that's why we traded for Ryan Tannehill. But we did it in the offseason and traded for almost nothing, and I think that would be the case with Cam Newton. If it does make its way to the offseason, the price goes way, way down.
Right. Well, let's go into the next game with the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it is. Philadelphia Eagles go on the road to the Buffalo Bills.
Let's talk about it. You were telling me a lot of people are picking the Eagles. I didn't see that. You're saying a lot of people say the Eagles bounce back. Maybe they do. Maybe we see a little bit of fight here.
The stuff that I read and listen to, a lot of people are saying the Eagles can win this game. They think at some point in time that offense is going to start launching the ball everywhere.
But against this defense?
I questioned it myself when I heard that. I was just like, but this is one of the better defenses, especially in that secondary. It's just, I don't see it.
And Jonathan, the Eagles play at 1 o'clock on Sunday if you're on the East Coast. Again, whatever your corresponding time zone is, it's noon for us, but 1 o'clock for everybody else on the East Coast. Going up against this Bills team, though, I can't bet on them. I just can't do it. And it's not because I hate the Eagles. I almost picked them to beat the Cowboys last week, and then I had that kind of gut feeling that says, I'll go with the team that can throw, and the secondary hasn't been good, and, well, we saw what happened there. If you let Josh Allen throw the ball, this Bills team might be unbeatable. He's not tremendously talented at doing it, but against this secondary, I look at him and I say, who's going to stop him?
I mean, there's definitely...
John Brown's got talent.
I mean, we all know the Eagles' secondary is depleted of talent, and they're hurting, and this is how you attack a team. But one thing the Bills have struggled to do is to put up a lot of points. What if this Eagles have a game where they put up 35 points? Do the Bills answer back?
And they're definitely in much more need of a win than the Bills are. Because the Bills are probably looking at it like, we're cruising to a wild card spot. Yes, you want to chase the Patriots. But in that organization, they might not be quite as on the edge as they could be if this team was at 4-3 or 3-4, and they're having to fight for it. Instead, they've lost one game just to the Patriots at this point. The rest of the division looks bad. The rest of the conference doesn't look like they're going to be in any shape to challenge them. Maybe the Eagles go into this game as the hungry dog, and the hungry dog wins a lot of fights, Drew. Maybe the Eagles say, our back's against the wall.
Right, and I know Jonathan's an Eagles fan. He says the Eagles have a bounce back. This is the game where they kind of bounce back into winning.
If they win it, I think it's a slugfest. I think the defense has to step up here. I just don't see them, the way this offense has looked, the way the offensive line hasn't stacked up well enough, no run game. You can't put all this on Carson Wentz to beat this good of a defense. I think they're going to score like 19, 20, 21 points, and then it's on the defense, can you keep the Bills out of the end zone?
Well, in my opinion, I think it has to be a high scoring to beat the Bills. You got to outscore them because that's one of the issues they have. Problem is that defense is really formidable. So you need to be able to run the rock and run it properly, and that's something the Eagles have really gotten away from. They'll give Jordan Howard plenty of snaps early, and then they get a little bit behind, and they sit there and they pull it off, and then they're chucking the ball all over the place, and they're failing doing it. Jacob says, I don't see the Eagles winning, especially with the injuries that they've got.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you lose your first two corners, most teams are pretty much just absolutely wrecked on defense, and that's kind of what we're seeing with the Eagles. I don't think Avonte Maddox is a particularly great talent, but I don't think he's the worst thing in the world. Missing him and Ronald Darby like they have here to this point has been a huge loss for the secondary. I mean, you can they weren't great beforehand. Now losing those two guys on top of it, the depth is clearly not up to par in the NFL. This might be the easiest team to pass against. Jonathan says the Eagles will want it more, and they'll need to. I mean, you're going to need to dominate this Bills offensive line up front. You're going to have to get after Josh Allen and contain him, which is no easy feat. I got to go Bills here, though. I don't believe in the secondary. I think if you let this guy throw against you, a guy like Josh Allen that can do so much with his legs already, with the defense they've got, they'll win. So I'm going to take the Bills in a close one. I think the Eagles hang because they're hungry. I'm going to say Bills, though.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Bills as well. During the offseason, we did take the Eagles. I think we believed during the offseason that this would be a very stout team all the way across. We thought, maybe they didn't fix their secondary, but we didn't think they'd be depleted like this.
Right. Absolutely not. Chargers at Bears, our next game. Hungry dog, right? They're both hungry dogs in this one, so it's good. We're in for a fight.
Yeah, you were sitting there trying to talk me into the Chargers winning this, kind of.
I was playing devil's advocate a little bit because remember, I'm taking the Bears. I'm saying the Bears are winning this one. I've been Team Bear forever, and they're 3-3 right now. So and have looked bad doing it.
Yes.
I will say this about the Chargers though. I've never really believed in them being an elite team. I still think they're a good team. I think them missing Melvin Ingram has been absolutely killer for them. They probably win that game against the Titans easily if he plays that game. Instead, with him out, they let the Titans hang around. The Titans kind of pull off a win. You can say what you want about the officiating, but I think the officiating kind of went both ways at times. They kept the Chargers out of the end zone twice. They kept Ryan Tannehill from getting that first down. You look at this game, and I look at the Chargers and the way they're going into this, and I look at the Bears and where they're at. How do I pick this Chargers team? How do I pick a team that can't run the ball efficiently? They threw to Austin Eckler very well, but Melvin Gordon looked terrible last week. They're going up against a similar defense here. They're not going to be able to ground and pound here. Maybe Eckler gets some receiving yards, but if anything, they have a more athletic defense than the Titans do. They're going to have these linebackers flying around, ready to stop, everything they can, or everything out of the backfield they can. So who on this offense beats the Bears defense? Keenan Allen?
It's tough. I mean, it's tough to pick the Chargers. During the offseason, we did pick the Chargers to take this game. I know you've always been on the bandwagon of they're fool's gold, they're a good team, they're not elite. And now I think it's a lot of people are saying the same thing about the Chicago Bears. They're 3-3. They're supposed to have the best defense in the league. Their defense is playing a lot of minutes. They're playing a lot of downs. It's creating exhaustion. It's creating stats to go up on their end. This is all about offense. Both, in my opinion, these teams offensively they have to do better. You know, this is the second tough defense in a row that the Chargers are facing. They went and played the Titans in a nail biter. To be honest, in all rights, they probably should have won that game. I know you don't want to hear it.
No, I think the Titans won that game, and then I think the refs kind of kept him in it. Again, Ryan Tannehill had that first down on fourth.
Ignore the ref stuff. They were on the 1 yard line. They were trying to get it in.
But they don't get to the 1 yard line if Tannehill is given the first down that he got, and the game is over because the Titans run the clock out.
Yeah, well, unfortunately.
So ignore the ref stuff. Titans win this one easy. We're talking about the Chargers stuff.
Unfortunately, that's not how it went down.
Sure.
So,
well, yeah, fortunately they were short too. So just because they didn't get any spots, Titans didn't either. Don't talk bad about my team.
Way to stick up for your team there, buddy. I think it's going to be a nail-biter. I don't think that either one of these teams are going to blow out each other. I think offensively the Bears need to figure themselves out. They need to put up some points, especially stop all the bad talk about Matt Nagy and Trubisky. It's time to see something out of these Bears. I'm going to believe in the Bears again. I think the Bears can win this game, but it's all about these offenses.
I'm going to go Bears here too. We'll flip from the Chargers before. Let's move on to our next game and talk about the Giants and the Lions. Again, this game on paper should be two teams that, in my opinion, are talking about 5 wins for the season. Instead, the Lions look pretty formidable. The Giants have looked good at times here. Drew, which way are you leaning here?
Oh, it's got to be Detroit. All these close games, all this getting screwed by the ref stuff.
And Chris, good to see you, man. 49ers having a great season so far, aren't they? We're going to talk about them here. Right now, we are here. We're going in order of time for Sunday, so your 3 o'clock games go a little bit later. Go ahead.
No, it's just... This is a team that they should beat. They've all played really tough the Lions have played really tough teams these last 3 weeks. They're getting screwed by the refs. I just think it's just the way the ball...
Tell me they didn't.
Dude.
Tell me they did not. I mean, neither one of those plays, Trey Flowers had his hand on a face mask, and they called him hands to the face back-to-back plays where the Packers needed. They did.
It sucks.
They did. It sucks. I agree. And great teams overcome. I've always said that.
Yes.
But the Lions so far have been a good team that has not been able to become great by overcoming.
That's what I've said. The better team always wins. They figure out how to make wins.
Were the Saints the better team than the Rams were? Did they not get screwed? I mean, there is such a thing as getting screwed by the refs.
We don't got time to get into this. Okay? It goes both ways. Both teams, somewhere in their history, have been screwed by the refs. If you want to live and die by what the refs do, join that group. Let the refs ruin your Sunday. Enjoy football. It sucks. I'm not sitting there saying that it doesn't need to be fixed, but perfection is it's unrealistic. We're all humans. We all make mistakes, and you got to remember.
But there's degrees.
There's degrees
to this.
You got to remember
for sure.
that these guys have one of the hardest jobs in the world because they are seeing it in real time. They don't get the chance. They don't get the chance to slow down. They don't get the chance of an overseeing view or different views. Was it like a crazy amount of numbers of cameras that are on the field at one time? We get to see it all. They don't. They got to make a play call right off there without using any kind of biased, which I'm not saying that they're not. It's just you got this. It's tough. Is it fair for teams that lose? No. As a Chiefs fan, I've been screwed many times. The fake face mask where they didn't even touch the face mask. They were literally a good, few inches away from Tom Brady's face mask, and they called it. Is it unfair? Yeah. Did the Chiefs lose that game because of that? No. They lost because they couldn't get in the end zone all the other times.
And D Ford lining up 3 miles offsides, lining up in the Patriots parking lot.
My point is you can get mad about one play, but why are the Saints down by a touchdown? Why aren't they up by 2? Why did they get stopped on this drive?
Sure.
That when the Lions lost the Packers,
let me flip the script on that.
Field goal.
The counter to that argument is things are so tight in this league already. And we say that all the time, right? Even we talk about the Bengals not being a good team. We talk about, take your pick. Any one of these teams down at the bottom. Redskins, Dolphins. We talk about them not being a good team. But a lot of the time, we're talking about athletes that are just slightly worse than the guys on the best teams. And always, in the NFL, any given Sunday plays, when you get one or two things tipped your way, that can be enough to tip the result into your favor. So yes, it is incredibly important. And yes, it's a hard job. I agree. Very, very difficult to be an NFL ref. But you got to get it right. You're picking, 16 crews out of how many millions of people?
Ian,
you have to get it right. That's
Ian,
it.
I'm not sticking up for their terrible officiating. I said it's something that needs to get fixed. What I'm saying is, you can't sit there and blame every freaking loss because that didn't go your way. Well, guess what? The Lions should have kicked 5 field goals. They should have been touchdowns.
And I said that too
and this
in the moment.
Where I'm getting
and I said that too in the moment.
When you're...
Are we still talking Lions-Giants?
Yeah, because it frustrates me that everyone's going to pick out that one officiating call and say that they would have won the game if that didn't happen. No, come on.
But it's not always one. Right? It's like an all-day thing, and then there's always one thing that kind of is the highlight. Like in the hands of the face.
It's like the cherry on the top.
Exactly.
But that Sunday was being made all the way through with the whipped cream and everything, and then they're like, terrible officiating call. There's the cherry. Because maybe
they stopped him on 3rd down. The Packers have to punt. It was like 4th and whatever.
How do you not know that they go out and fumble the ball and the Packers pick it up and run in the end zone?
Okay, but how often does that happen?
Well, how often does a bad call happen?
A lot.
No.
In today's NFL, Jesus. A lot. Have you been watching these games? Pretty often. I'm going to reload. Tell me who you're taking between the Lions and the Giants, and I'll be right back.
I'm not sticking up for me, and I promise I can't stand it. It needs to be fixed. There needs to be a change in refereeing. I agree that there is something that needs to be fixed here. I think it goes right to aspect of adding a overall judge kind of at the very top who's in charge of everything, sitting in in some kind of box where he has every view of camera. He's adjusting refs properly on the field to allow them to see. I mean, there is things that need to be changed, but I'm not sticking up for it. This is part of the game that we all love. It is what happens. Human error exists. And you could say that the Saints got screwed, but we don't know if maybe he doesn't get in the end zone. Maybe he catches the ball and fumbles it and they pick it up. Who knows? Because you never know because it didn't happen.
Do you remember Armando Galarraga?
Let me ask you this.
I'm going to take a huge detour here.
That being said,
but it's about Detroit.
The Lions win
It's
this
about
game.
Detroit. Do you remember Armando Galarraga, pitcher that threw the perfect game, and he had the last guy out by a mile, and the ump called him safe in baseball, and everyone was like, oh, I think the ref's name was Jim Joyce. I remember that because he messed up so bad. Was that just bad luck? Why didn't you have him out by 5 more steps? Sometimes you have bang plays. We need accuracy. I'll give you credit. There's some of that. You can't complain about every call because not every call is going your way. There are going to be mistakes that are made. There's going to be holding called that it's ticky tacky in our eyes, but but for whatever reason it caught the ref's attention. What I will say is there are some calls in big moments that definitely need to be looked at and reviewed. There's no way you can say that the Lions didn't get screwed on those hands to face that would have ended drives. They got screwed.
Guys, get ready for longer games. And it's not more football. It's more waiting around. Just get ready for it.
Or we can just hustle it up and get your team screwed, and everyone winds up 7-8 unless you're a popular team.
That sounds like a small
7-9, I guess.
Small
16.
market woes.
Yeah, that is small market woes. Wait till you see what it looks like when Patrick Mahomes isn't playing. Let's see what it looks like this week. Because the refs are going to say,
Chiefs are going to win.
Chiefs suck. Okay. I'll hold you to that.
Rob, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. He says, go, Lions. We have to regroup after last Sunday. Lions all the way. I'm just glad that you didn't say anything about officiating.
Absolutely. Also, Ian says good teams overcome bad officiating, but bad officiating overshadows good games. I'm with you. Again, there is human error, but it needs to be as contained as humanly possible. It has not been contained this year, and that's why I'm, making this much of a fuss about it, because it's been that bad.
Just stop watching football then.
I will. I absolutely will do that, for sure.
All right, just stop. Don't ever watch another game because, God forbid,
I'm taking the Lions
the refs go against
I'm taking the Lions,
team.
too. I don't think the refs are going to screw them in the same situation against the Giants.
All right.
How about that?
We're going to talk about the Giants at all?
Yeah, let's talk about maybe the offense has a good day. Maybe the defense is just as terrible as always. We've kind of been right about that all the way through. The offensive line is looking okay for them. Receiver-wise, with Golden Tate there, are they the best? No, but they're better than they've been. They've got Evan Ingram. They've got Saquon Barkley back. Maybe the offense puts up some points. Maybe Detroit lets us down because for as much as we've loved the way they've played, this has not been a team that's been able to close things out.
Yeah, Daniel Jones needs to limit his turnovers, limit his fumbles. He needs to be able to kind of sharpen that stuff up. He's going to go against a stout defense. He's going to need to understand what pressure is. This is kind of one of those games where I don't think that they expect to win, but they expect to see kind of an improvement out of him. I think this is a good opportunity for Daniel Jones to kind of clean some of that stuff up.
Exactly. This is a good start for a guy who's been starting as a rookie here and an offense prepared to do it. I'm okay with a challenge like this. You don't want to go in there with a bad offense.
You're halfway through the season.
Yeah, and you don't want to go in there with a bad offense, having to play a defense like the Lions have been to this point, with a rookie quarterback getting one of his early starts. I like where he's at, though. I like what the Giants are doing. It's not going to be enough to win, but I like what they're doing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Buccaneers and the Tennessee Titans. I already took a bet to say the Tennessee Titans are going to win. If not, you're going to see a Tampa Bay Buccaneer logo on Sports Around the Bar as our profile picture. So, if that happens, Drew, what's got to happen in this game? How do they beat the Titans?
They got to just
score more
points. It's the only thing they can do, and that's throw the ball. And they got to throw the ball without turning the ball over, which is an issue. Rob says the Giants have improved, but they don't have a chance. I think we both agree with that.
Right. Exactly.
As far as this game goes, I'm not exaggerating. It's you have to believe in Jameis Winston. This is what the Bucs have already done for about 5 years now. Whatever it is, how long he's been in the league, it's time to trust in him. That those turnovers aren't the issue, but they are. And I think this Titans defense is one of the better defenses in the league. If there was a weakness, I think we both kind of agree it might be their corners. So
depends on the day. It really does. But against these receivers, they stand a good chance to put up some points.
But I like the way they match up.
Yeah.
You guys have big corners. They got big receivers. They have fast guys. You got a fast corner in Jackson. I mean, you got a good safety, Byard, that could go over the top.
And a less good one, Kenny Vaccaro, but that's okay. We're not going to talk about him.
He's more going to be up front.
But as a fourth man. He's
doing
that's about as good as he gets.
I think it matches up well. Rob says Tampa Bay in the upset. I'm going to go.
I like you read the upset comment, but you didn't read that Ian just said he's going with Tennessee, which came first, by the way, in our comments.
Well,
you gonna blame Facebook for that one?
Either way, no, I just don't care. I'm gonna go with the Titans, and now I was going to read because Ian's going with us as well. He says he has faith, Jacob.
Exactly.
Does that make you feel better?
It does. It does. Now, but Rob's going the other way, and again, it's not all sunshine and roses when you're talking about the Tennessee Titans. No one's been more critical of them than I have. Rob says he hates to say it, but Winston will help them get it done. The real question is, what breaks first? The immovable object of Jameis Winston throwing interceptions, or the unbreakable force, unstoppable force of the Tennessee Titans not being able to take the ball away? Who wins that battle? That was supposed to be funny, and I screwed it up. So, terrible. But
see how I don't make fun of you when you screw up?
You just did. Titans don't take the ball away. Jameis loves giving it away. So the real question is, who wins that battle? That's my question. If the Titans can take the ball away twice, the way Ryan Tannehill has been playing, hopefully he doesn't recede, because sometimes you have that great first start and you go into week 2 and you're like, we got it. Nobody does that more than Tennessee. There's a definite chance they lose this game because they go in there thinking, we're good now, boys. Okay? We beat the Chargers. We're a good team. All right? We're on our way to the playoffs. It's not happening, but we think like that.
Oh, okay.
No, I know. That's what they say all the time. And then they go and get upset by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we'll see what happens. This has got to be the Tennessee Titans.
Rob says no picks by Winston. He's thinking that Winston's not going to turn the ball over. Ian says
he's finally removed the blindfold.
He says, too bad this isn't Mariota versus Winston showdown. We were promised when they were drafted.
Well, they did have one.
Yes, they did.
It was their first game when they were drafted. Yeah. And who won that one?
No,
you don't remember, do you?
Not very important.
Because I do.
Not a very important team. That's who won.
That was history changing for the NFL. Okay, both these quarterbacks, Hall of Famers, first ballot.
It was probably pushed down to like grunge time. They're like, these two teams suck.
It was actually close, but every game is close when you're the Titans and 18 points gets a win done. Oh, okay.
Rob says the Titans got lucky against the Chargers.
Did they? Did you see Tannehill?
I still
Did
wish.
you see Phillip Rivers? Let me ask you this. We haven't talked about this. Phillip Rivers looked like garbage that game.
Guys,
every pass his receivers were laying out for it.
When the Titans are losing, I will record Jake when he gets here. Okay? I will record him because it was seriously suicide watch. This guy was done. He was raging. He was upset. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then they won.
Oh, wait, hold on a second.
And it's like
let me just confirm really quick. This is from the guy saying that the Chiefs are going 14-2. Okay, this is from the guy that now that he's got a quarterback, everything's right and rosy with the NFL. And if you don't win, you're just not a good team. If the refs make bad calls, that's your fault.
Better teams win.
Better teams win, and teams with quarterbacks who throw 400 yards. Well, I don't have a 400-yard quarterback, okay? I was lucky to have a 300-yard quarterback, Drew. Let me have this, all right? Let me have it. It's the first time my team has had any ray of hope since Kerry Collins been here, and since then, it's been nothing. Doom and gloom. Everyone was saying Mariota's great. I was saying don't draft him, and guess what? If we don't do that, if we give Mettenberger the extra year, and he sucks like he actually does.
What about Jake Locker?
It sucked. I was like, this guy's going to be terrible. When he came out after his senior year, everyone's like, man, Jake Locker doesn't look like that first overall pick everyone was talking about. So what do the Titans do when pick 9 comes around, or 7 or 6 or whatever it was? Gotta have him. All right. And guess what's going to happen this year? More than likely. Same thing. We're going to get Jalen Hurts. And everyone's like, probably doesn't translate to the pro game. Titans, our guy. Okay? We just believe in him. He's a winner. All right. I'm done talking about my team. Let's hit a couple of these comments. We're taking the Titans. All right.
He says he's kind of old River. I'm talking about Phillip Rivers. But this comment, Rob, was not very nice. He says the Chiefs will lose very soon and get laughed at.
Starts on Sunday. It's all downhill from here, Drew.
And now it sounds like
6-8 or 6
join the bandwagon of hating the Chiefs because they drafted a good quarterback.
I don't hate the Chiefs. I just hate you.
Well, I know this, but that's not. Okay, what that means absolutely nothing.
I'm just sorry, Mahomes is someone you cheer for, because now I gotta hate him.
Why don't you go join your head coach and cut off your penis for a Super Bowl? That sounds like something you would do.
He hasn't yet. It'll be a trade when we get there. But guess what? We ain't ever getting there, so he's safe.
He's like, I'm gonna need 1,000 fans to come and cut it off with me, and you're gonna be the first one to sign up.
I'll break out the cheers if it gets my team a Super Bowl. I'll cut it off myself. I'm sorry, Mike Vrabel. It's got to happen.
Ian says, Jacob, you need some Titan stuff on the bar. Well, here it is. We've gotten Titan stuff, but he's so ashamed of him, he won't put it on the bar.
Is that what it is? No, we have a giant helmet that takes up like the entire bar. And I'm like, it's okay, man. I don't have to have the same box of cereal with Patrick Mahomes on the bar every week.
Well, you know what? Build yourself a bar, and maybe that would change.
All right, I got a project for this weekend. I'll see you on Sunday. Let's wrap this game up, okay? Now that we're 3 miles off track, we've got to talk about the Colts next.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to bag on them and tell you how the Broncos are going to pull off an upset. Titans got to win this game. They probably won't, but they got to, because that's just what my team does, right? That's just what they do.
I'm picking them to win.
I am too. Because I have to. I took a bet. I have to.
I don't believe in wins.
I don't believe in Tampa Bay. Like the whole team. Whole team.
And I did.
Jack Barrett's got a lot of sacks. Good job.
I
Couldn't
picked
get it
them
done
2 weeks ago, and they let me down, or whatever it was, 3 weeks ago. I'll never pick them again.
I've said that 3 times. 3 times since we started doing all these picks. So we'll move on. Titans are going to win it. It'll be close. It'll be ugly, because every game is close and ugly with my team. Hopefully they get the job done. It could be a close and ugly loss. Hopefully it's a close and ugly win. Let's talk about the Broncos and Colts.
And just because I know Steven's watching, I just want you guys to know that this box of cereal will be up here for as long as Sports Around the Bar is here.
I think it's going to find its way out in trash day. I don't know what happened to it, Drew. I think it went to live on a farm. All right, and then we'll talk about the Broncos and Colts.
Then Jake comes there and he only has 1 ear. I don't know what happened to it, Jake.
Loves his cereal box. I don't get it. Man crush, Patrick Mahomes confirmed. Tyler Lockett, Patrick Mahomes, The Rock, Vin Diesel. Who else do we add into this list?
You forgot Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, Broncos, Colts. Are you ready? Can we move on? Can we get back on
Steven
track?
says Titans win this one easy.
Thank you, Steven. Thank you. And maybe it's just because Tampa Bay has been one of these
better?
worst teams. No, because I appreciate the optimism, but I won't believe it till I see it. I'm like Thomas the Doubter. I don't believe it until I see my Titans blow somebody out for the first time forever. When was the last time we scored 30 points?
Your team isn't capable of scoring 30 points.
We did like once last year, I think.
Yeah, your team is not
like
capable of scoring 30 points.
They are. They have good receivers. They have a shitty offensive line, but they used to be good. So maybe they could show up again. They've got a running back. They can score 30 points.
Jesus.
Did you watch them last week?
I watched.
Tannehill missed like 3 passes. And it scared the shit out of me. It scared the crap out of me because every pass he was threading the needle. And I'm used to watching
poop out of me.
Yeah, I'm used to watching Mariota, and every pass is like a lame duck that floats up there, and everyone picks it off. So you can't throw into tight windows. Guys have to be wide open for him.
Oh, he was definitely.
He was threading the needle, and every time I was like, no, because I've been so conditioned that every pass is going to be intercepted that I was just it was hard to watch.
Yes, Rob.
Hard to watch.
I do remember that Joe Montana was a Chief. I'm not as
He was garbage, too.
I'm not as young as I look.
He was garbage, too. We'll move on. Broncos, Colts. I promise we're not going to stay on this all day. Broncos, Colts. Who are you taking?
The Colts.
All right.
In a
Colts.
blowout.
We'll move on.
In a blowout.
How do you bet on the Broncos? Just like
Don't-
I said, how do you bet on the Buccaneers? How do you bet on the Broncos?
The real question is this the game where you see Drew Lock?
No. They don't want him to get embarrassed. I think they're protecting him. I think that's the right move, and I talked about that in the past, saying it's okay to let Joe Flacco be the punching bag for this team that's not ready to win. That's definitely okay. They are not ready to have a young, inexperienced quarterback come in there and face a team like the Colts that, to their credit, have been much better than I thought they were going to be, and go getting embarrassed. Even whether it's at home, on the road, doesn't matter. I especially don't love that it's a road game. But even if it's at home, what do you get out of it? He's going to get a little bit of experience, but he's going to get beat up. He's going to get tackled. He's going to get sacked. There's no reason for that.
Steven says you scored 40 week 1.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry, I forgot about that.
And
See,
don't worry.
It never
Rob,
happens. It also came off the back of a...
Don't worry,
It was
Rob.
Baker Mayfield and the Browns. It doesn't count.
Don't worry, Rob knocked you down. He says Tennessee is trash.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Says coming from the Lions fan. That really hurts.
Chris, good to see you. He says finally.
I'm just kidding. You had Jim Schwartz. Used to be our defensive coordinator. Still should be your head coach. Love that guy. So I got a special place in my heart for the Lions.
Chris says finally we choose the Colts to win, and he's happy.
Well, this is the first game that they've been like the clearly superior team.
I chose him.
And they've won some close games.
I think I've chosen him twice now.
I had a couple. I'll have to go back. We'll have to check the records.
You chose the Texans.
Last week, yeah.
Yeah, you were wrong.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
Who's winning that? Who's winning the season?
Oh, I am. Why?
No, you're not.
Dude,
You're two games down.
I like you get a comfortable lead and you think you got it, and then
Lull
bam!
me to sleep. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that happened last year. We'll talk about the Broncos and how terrible this offensive line has been. Can the Colts take advantage of that? Because guys like Justin Houston, guys like this defensive front, even though they don't have big names, they've been very effective at limiting opponents from scoring this year.
played really
We haven't
well.
talked about them. We haven't talked about this defensive line. I know we've talked about Darius Leonard, and we've talked about Malik Hooker. We've talked about the flashy names here. But it's been this quiet, workman-like defense that shows up every week that's been the difference for the Colts, in my opinion. They've kept teams in check. Like, they frustrated Deshaun Watson last week.
Yeah.
Absolutely frustrated.
Yeah, they did.
What is Joe Flacco going to look like against this defense?
And Patrick Mahomes, too.
Well, I'll give you the answer. Joe Flacco is going to look like Joe Flacco. And we're going to see the...
Ian says he's taking the Colts. Take this Flacco on the road, not good.
Yeah, well, take Flacco at home. I mean, not good. And I've been saying that since he won the Super Bowl. Everyone fell in love with Joe Flacco because he got a ring. The defense got the ring. And he got hot in the right moment. But again, Champ Bailey was like a misjudged pass away from beating the Ravens. Joe Flacco's not a great quarterback. It's scientific fact. I don't know how else to describe it. He's just not a good quarterback.
Rob is
Going in this game, it's got to be Colts.
Rob is still digging in that dagger into your back. He says Lions is and always will be a better team than
Really?
the Titans.
Have the Titans gone 0-16? I don't remember that. Interesting. I don't know about that. What's their record right now? Are they ahead of the Titans? 2-3-1? I think they're behind by a half a game. So even if it's only by a half, Titans a better team right now. Hate it for you, Rob. I do.
Chris says Mathis knows how to coach, and he loves it. I think it's a good team. I think the Colts all around are a really good team. I will say it again, quietly. Not he's going to win. Not going to win. But Jacoby Brissett is a quiet MVP. He should be discussed about in the MVP.
Right now, yeah.
Halfway,
If it happened right now, yeah.
Halfway.
We can talk about him.
Yeah.
Sure. He's been, again,
Not going to win it.
he, along with just about everybody on the Colts, has been marginally better than what I've expected him to be. And that's good enough. Like, when everyone's doing it and everyone's showing up, and I think this is on Frank Reich. I think this is Frank Reich having everybody
I also think that
zeroed
guy's
in
probably the
ready to
coach of
play.
the year, too.
Exactly. And he could have been last year, too. But
Yeah.
he didn't, but he could have been. I think a lot of this is Frank Reich having everybody's mentality in the right spot. The Colts are playing well from every position, even though I don't think they're the most talented team. Even though I don't think their guys are better 1 versus 1. If you take these guys and put them on another team, but then a lot of their opponents, they show up and they win games. I think the only one that I can say was an exception was the Oakland game where they kind of got, out-muscled, out-motored, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
This game against the Broncos should be hands down Colts. And
I think it's a blowout.
I do too. I think the Broncos get embarrassed here, and we'll start talking about, is it time to move on from John Elway seriously? Because that's been rumbling around. Is it time to make a move when we watch Joe Flacco get embarrassed by the Colts?
Absolutely. Let's talk about a closer matchup.
Are we going to dwell on this one too? The Rams and the Bengals?
Bengals going on the road to the LA Rams. It was a joke. Obviously, the Bengals are a team in disarray. The Rams have to win this game. They're not going to get embarrassed. There's just too many weapons on the offense for the Rams to allow a defense like the Bengals to hold them back. If they don't put up 30 points, you have issues, serious issues on this Rams team.
Well,
no, you put up 30 points.
Let me say this. This is going to be a 7-on-7 flag football game. They have no one to block for Jared Goff in L.A., but they have no one to rush the passer for the Bengals. I think this is going to be kind of a wash there. I really don't see either unit just dominating here. Maybe the Rams have a good day and they do put up 30 points. A win's a win. My thing right now is hang with the Seahawks. Hang with the 49ers. I'm glad they're playing them right now because they're going to be able to stay in this race. I don't think they're good enough to beat either one of those teams right now, but maybe they figure something out on this offensive line and they can bounce back in the second half of the season. Right now, the Rams are playing a team that they need to be playing to stay in the playoff race. Because if this was a difficult game and last week was tough and the week before that was tough, we'd be talking about the Rams being out of the race.
Yeah. Chris says second in TDs. He's talking about Brissett, and he says Frank Reich will win the Coach of the Year. And he says, Drew, don't lose faith. He says he thinks the Chiefs can still win without Mahomes. I appreciate
We talked
that.
about it. The schedule's tough.
It's a tough schedule.
All jokes aside. I know I made a lot of jokes about him.
Oh, I know.
Schedule's tough for the Chiefs coming
I
out
know
there.
you absolutely love the Chiefs.
I do. Secretly. I have
Yes.
a Patrick Mahomes poster on my wall
No,
at
on,
home.
on your ceiling.
On the ceiling. So that's the first thing I see when I wake up.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's talk.
You helped me put it up there.
I did.
Or I helped you. That's what it was.
We both have them.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Bengals and what they can do in this game. Is there any takeaway for an 0-7 team? My takeaway is lose. They played the Dolphins week 16. You have the chance to get your first overall pick. You get the chance to replace Andy Dalton, even though I don't think he's the worst quarterback in the world. I think Andy Dalton's like somewhere around 23, right? 25 if we're ranking them all out. But that's not good enough for this franchise. Get a new quarterback. Try to go for that elite guy that can be a leader and then build the roster around him. Problem is they're poorly managed. They're poorly owned. Not many takeaways here for the Bengals. And I hate it for Bengals fans. I know we have some. I'm struggling to come up with something nice to say about your team.
Well, he doesn't. He says another country, the moon, it's still the Cincinnati Bengals. He's taking the Lambs.
Yeah.
So much hate towards both these teams.
It's got to be the Rams. It's got to be the Rams. No ifs, ands, or buts, right? If you're telling me take the Bengals, I'm going to say, are you from the future? And if not, I'm not putting any money on the game. You got to tell me yes there. You have to have seen the result here for me to believe.
Kind of like Back to the Future scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd have to see the DeLorean outside.
Then you'd pick them?
No. I wouldn't believe. I wouldn't believe.
We can make that happen.
Let's talk about the Cardinals and the Saints, Drew. I look at this game, and we talked about it before. The biggest storyline here, not necessarily what the Cardinals going to do. Kyler Murray's looked decent at times,
right,
putting up some offense. The rest of this team,
they're like
not ready to win.
3-game winning streak?
Rest of this team, not ready to win.
3-game?
2, I think. What, 2 wins? Maybe 3. Don't quote me on it. I haven't been paying attention to the Cardinals, man. Nobody has. They're like the worst team in the NFC
they're
West.
on a win streak.
It ends this week.
I think.
Whether it's Teddy, whether it's Drew Brees, the real story of this game is it time for Drew Brees to come back and start a game under center? Or, kind of like you were saying, why would they start him? Why would they bother putting a quarterback like Drew Brees out there who's 39, going on 40, with a thumb injury in a game that you're probably winning with, 5-0 Teddy Bridgewater? Speaking of win streaks.
Yeah.
5-0 Teddy Bridgewater, and you're going to bench him against the Cardinals because Drew Brees is ready to go?
George says, who dat? He says, no, sit Drew Brees. I'm agreeing. It's not that I worry about losing this game. Even if you lost this game to the Cardinals, which I still don't think is going to happen, this is an okay loss. Because what could happen worse is you put Drew Brees out there still ailing from that thumb injury. Yeah, he might be okay, but he's not 100%. And you got a pass rusher like Chandler Jones. I mean, he's going to get to whatever quarterback is playing back there at some point in time. This guy is a stud. If it's not a sack, you'll see those arms flailing. And listen, no one wants to hurt anybody.
Well, ask the Saints.
But you're going to tell me right now, that they're not going to use that to their advantage, that his hand is hurting?
Yeah. Oh, of course you would.
They absolutely will be.
You got to win games, right? You
Yeah.
got to keep your spot on the roster.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that. There's no reason to start him here unless he's 100% healthy.
Which
he's
not.
ready to go. And you need to get him some momentum. And he's not. Right.
Which he's not, because this wouldn't even be a discussion.
Right. Absolutely. It's Drew Brees' turn. Instead,
Exactly.
roll with Teddy Bridgewater. Win your 6th game because the Saints are just such a great roster right now. They can beat just about any team that's not a Super Bowl contender in a heads-up matchup with Teddy Bridgewater. So I'm saying roll with Teddy. I don't understand why they're considering starting Breeze here. I think some of it's smoke. It might just be like an ego massager where Breeze says, dude, I'm ready. My hands, I'm ready to get back out in the field. And they're like, yeah, well, maybe we'll play you, right? I mean, you could totally beat him if you go out there. Maybe they're talking him up a little bit, and that's what it is. Beyond that, we're picking Saints. We're sticking with the offseason pick.
Yes.
Cardinals are starting in a position to win here. Speaking of not in a position to win, how about these guys?
Hold on, I got a couple comments. Rob is picking the Saints. Ian says to be nice to see a mild upset with the Cards win, but New Orleans at home takes this with actual Bridgewater over.
He says with an actual bridge over water as quarterback for the Saints.
He threw me for a loop there. I was ready to say Bridgewater, and it threw me for a loop.
I got you.
But no, he's absolutely right. This is, again, a tough place to play. It's very loud. Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals are proving a lot of naysayers wrong, I think, including us, because they're winning some games. We thought it would be a while.
Well, no, that's not fair. I mean, we said this team might be better on offense.
We thought it would be a while before they clicked it, right? I mean, we thought, it's going to be a while before this team going to win a couple games.
I remember distinctly saying, I don't know what this offense is going to look like with Kingsbury.
What did we pick for them?
Well,
I know
find
they're
out.
top
Probably like
5 pick.
4 or 5 wins, something like that. What do they have, like 2? They're on pace. I'll have to look it up. We said 5-11. How about that for credit, man?
Holy cow.
We know what we're talking about. That's why this offseason.
How drunk were we?
Just fantastic. Psychic though. Drunk, but we saw the future.
Oh, okay. All right.
Let's talk about the Jets and the Jaguars. Both these teams absolutely terrible. Jaguars, worst team to ever play a game of football in the NFL history, except maybe the Colts. Hope you're still watching, Chris. No, I'm kidding. You look at this game, and you look at Sam Darnold. You said it before. It's a tale of two quarterbacks.
Yeah.
What Sam Darnold are we going to see? Are we going to see Sam Darnold seeing ghosts out there he did against the Patriots? Or are we going to see him against the Cowboys?
Such a bad decision to have him mic'd.
Yeah.
Who puts their quarterback mic'd up against the Patriots?
The Jets.
Yeah, that's who.
Yeah.
It's a terrible decision.
The NFL probably asked for it.
You tell them no.
You can mic up our defensive tackle.
You want Quinnen Williams?
Yeah, exactly.
No, it is a terrible decision. And to be honest, it's going to be a very unfair analysis of him. Let's be honest. I think every quarterback at some point in time is seeing pressure that isn't there.
That sounds like Sam Darnold's whole career. Because he's a Jet, everyone's like, dude.
It's so unfair.
It's unfair.
It's so unfair. Because you've seen it. I have seen great quarterbacks break out of a clean pocket because of pressure that's coming on them.
And bad ones like Marcus.
And they're not using those words exactly, but that's pretty much the same stint of it. They're feeling something that's not there. They're seeing ghosts. It's just unfortunate for him. He was mic'd, and it's unfortunate for him. He plays the Patriots twice a year.
New York media, because of course that's going on. If Gardner Minshew had said that in Jacksonville last week against Cincinnati, is this a national story? No. Nobody's talking about
Even
this.
though we would be laughing our tail off.
I would be, and you'd be like, he's great, dude. Come on. Cut him some slack.
Dude, he's going to Ghost Hunters right after he gets done with this game.
That's probably what it is.
He's got a contract with him.
Instead, he's in the New York media, and so of course it comes up there. Everyone's ready to throw stones or whatever to sell their story. Sam Darnold's had a rough shake since he's got in there. Does it get any better with Adam Gase at calling the plays and maybe picking the personnel? I don't know. But what I will say is in this game, the Jets are going to get dominated again. Sam Darnold's going to struggle against a great defense instead of when he played the Cowboys, which are good at times and have been good in the past, but this year have been definitely inconsistent. They had an inconsistent week against Darnold. Darnold took advantage of that. This week he's going against a great defense in the Jaguars. This is going to be all Gardner Minshew. Everyone will be back on the train. Everyone will be back ready to ride the stash.
We never left it.
You've been riding the stash since he came out. Hilarious sentence if you think about it. Also, for the rest of this game, the Jaguars should be able to run here. I don't think the Jets' defense is in good enough shape to stop them.
We're going to get banned.
We're going to get shadow banned. I know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make that happen as quick as humanly possible.
Dustin, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. Ian says, not a pretty game, but both are evenly matched. He is saying a tie in this game. I don't think so.
Jags will win it.
I think Jags
will win it. They're a hungrier team. They're playing better.
Score.
Jalen Ramsey's out of the building now. They've got a bunch of new first-round picks. Maybe some of these guys are like, hey, things are looking up for the Jacksonville Jaguars for the first time in a while. One less locker room attitude problem. I can't stress how much I think this is actually a good move for them. I mean, he wasn't playing well this year anyway. I know
he wasn't playing.
And he didn't play. But when he was on the field, he was one of the lowest graded.
Pretty healthy, huh?
Exactly. It was, my back. And they were like, dude, he's going to play. And what did I tell you? Like, right before he got traded, I was like, the back injury is because he's on the move. And even though it's not Shaka Khan. What's his name? Shad Khan, owner for the Jaguars. I always do that too. Shad Khan said, he'll play this week. Don't worry about it. Next thing you know, he's traded off to the Rams. It's addition by subtraction. Getting rid of Jalen Ramsey is going to help this defense play even better because now they have one less naysayer kind of upsetting everybody in the locker room.
Agreed.
Let's talk about the Panthers and our 49ers here.
This is your upset alert.
My upset alert, yes. I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers to win here. It's tough to say an undefeated team at this point in the season is not good. I just don't know that I'm buying the 49ers hype yet. I think they're a good team, okay? Obviously, you don't get to 7-0 if you're not, unless you're the Bills. You heard that here first. When I look at the 49ers, I say the running game's been there. Will they be there against the Panthers? Probably not in the same way. They won't be the same running attack. They won't have the same running attack they've had in some of these games that they needed to win. Are they going to be able to throw Jimmy G? We haven't seen old Jimmy G yet.
Right.
Jimmy G has kind of struggled a lot this year. So if they're not putting up points, eventually Christian McCaffrey in this offense will. It may not be a lot, but they'll get 18 points on the board. Do the 49ers in this defense stack up well enough to keep the Panthers shut down for 4 quarters? I'm going to say no. It'll be close. I think this game is going to be a dogfight, but I think we're kind of underrating just how good this offense is for Carolina. Or sorry, just how good this defense is for Carolina and what they can do on that side of the ball to limit what the 49ers have done to this point.
Realistically, this is a game of the undefeated. Kyle Allen is undefeated as a starter in the league.
Was it 5 now?
5-0.
5-0.
5-0. And yet to throw a pick in either one of those wins. I mean, this guy has
and yet Gardner Minshew gets all the hype.
And that's not true. He just has a stash. Anyways, moving
exactly.
forward.
And we're all talking about him,
Moving
but we're not
forward.
talking about Kyle Allen. Go ahead.
Moving forward. You ready?
It's because he has Darius Sanders. I know.
Right. So, anyways,
Here comes the Shadow Man.
I think it's going to be a very close game. I actually think the Niners are kind of waiting for a game like this where this is probably going to be one of those offsetting matchups where they look to prove themselves once again why they're undefeated, why teams should not overlook them, why they should be part of the elite status in this league. The addition of Emmanuel Sanders, depending on how much he plays, I think is going to make a huge difference here. This is exactly where Kyle Shanahan wanted to be. He wanted a player like Emmanuel Sanders. I actually think it was Emmanuel Sanders that he has gone out publicly and said, I want to coach a guy like that. Well, now he's got him.
If you ignore all the talk that they wanted Sanu and then settled for Sanders. But yes, I get you. Maybe it's a price, but go ahead. Continue.
But my point is just it's ready to see Jimmy G flourish in this offense. The problem is he's facing a very, very tough defense in Carolina. But the weather's not going to be a monsoon. You're going to have a dry field. Even if it rains a little bit, it won't be anything near like it was in Washington. It's time to show what you got, 49ers, and I'm going to stick with you. I'm going to ride the train, and I think the 49ers win this game.
Now, Dustin says he's taking Carolina to beat the Niners this week. Defense has been really good this season, and they are just playing well right now. People call him crazy, but the 6-0 Niners have not convinced him just yet. Isn't it not 7? Maybe it's 6. I think they've gone on by. All right, thank you for that. I agree with you. I think I'm with you. I'm saying Panthers win this one. I think they haven't been a dominant team. Like last year, we saw dominance. Like Rams, Saints, Chiefs, Patriots. When all those teams were undefeated last year, we saw dominance. I haven't seen that out of any undefeated team this year. Even the Patriots have not looked good at times. I mean, they're undefeated. You have the 49ers still undefeated. They haven't looked good at times. They've looked good at other times. And then you've got other teams like the Bills that have one loss. And you have teams like the Chiefs that have looked beatable at times. And the Ravens that have looked beatable. And the Seahawks have looked beatable. Nobody has looked just dominant like we saw last season. And I think that's good for the NFL. I'm going to go Panthers here in the upset. Rob says the Panthers tight. He's taking the Panthers in a tight game. But what an upset will be the game to watch. This will be the game to watch. I'm with you.
This is the game I'll be watching, for sure.
Also, Mike says Carolina and Cleveland are his upsets of the week. I like both of those, actually. I almost took the Browns because I said the Browns are this kind of team that when they play this level of opponent, they're like, let's go get them. We've got a lot of talent. We're motivated. We'll come out and play hard. But then I said, it's the Patriots, and they just love getting in the head of young quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield's not got a ton of experience under his belt just yet. Still got to go Patriots. That's a spoiler, but I'll talk about them next.
George says if the Niners stop the run game, they will take a W. One of the hardest things to do
Exactly. Everyone knows it's coming.
Christian McCaffrey.
Everyone knows it's coming, but the question is, can you do anything about it? They have a great defensive front, and I've been saying that even in the offseason. I said, eventually, all these first-round picks are going to pay off. We're seeing that happen now. I think Nick Bosa has been the X factor that has kind of got everybody else playing well.
Ford?
Well, maybe D Ford. It hasn't been like when he was in Kansas for the Chiefs, but
he still
hasn't been a terrible player.
There's only one season he really stood out.
I get it. He didn't have that flash this year either. But he's not been a bad player. I can't tell you D Ford's like the problem. They'd be a great defense minus D Ford.
Yeah, no.
So, yes, I'm 100% with you there, George. If they can stop the run, they'll take the win. But the question is, you know it's coming. What can you do about Christian McCaffrey and his 96 touches he's about to get?
Ian's with me. He says, going the 49ers, they'll use Emmanuel Sanders to open up the offense. That Niners D steps up.
The only counter to that is Kyle Shanahan's offense is relatively complex. It took Matt Ryan 2 years to learn it. I don't know that with 1 week, Emmanuel Sanders is going to be enough initiated to the point where he takes a game over. He might have some big plays. We might see him do well.
You're not going to see him play the role that Kyle Shanahan has for him initially, but he's going to have him out there running routes.
Yeah.
It's going to be...
He'll make plays.
It's going to be
you might see some good catches.
You'll probably see like 50% of what Emmanuel Sanders is going to do for this team.
I don't know that that's enough to turn the tide for me. And that's why I'm going to say I'm going to fade the Emmanuel Sanders pick just now. They just traded for him on a short week. I think this is going to be something that you're going to see him in a limited fashion this week. I'm sorry.
Rod said the Browns are going to get crushed. And Scott, good to see you.
That's what I said when I reminded myself. It's the Patriots.
Scott says he's going to go with the Panthers with the upset before Cleveland.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. I mean, you have to, right? I mean, it's the Patriots. They've been good since I've been, alive. That's not true, but...
Almost.
If that was true, I wouldn't be able to drink this beer. But they're getting there, right?
Well, I am contributing to a minor.
Yeah, exactly. Careful, all police officers out there. If you want to know Andrew's address, let me know after the show.
I just want to
remind
you the time. How many times did you get ID'd at that bar?
I still do. 99 times.
No. The one bar where they ID'd you 3 times.
3 or 4 times, yeah.
You bought a beer.
It wasn't even a bar, it was a restaurant.
You got there, they let you in by checking your ID, and then you go get a beer, and then they check your ID again. And
then they send a bouncer to come check my ID.
And then 30 minutes later, they check your ID again.
I know. I can't help it. I'm just beautiful, all right? I can't help it. He's like, it's because you don't have a beard. I was like, how many guys have a beard all the time?
I didn't have a beard. All I have is this crappy
Nobody was asking you. I'm just saying, better to look young than look old.
One of the funniest / upsetting moments ever.
Yeah, it was great. Had a great time.
We also got food poisoning that night. That was awesome.
You did. I survived. But that's okay. Scott also says he doesn't see what people see in the Browns. They seem really the same as usual. Not the same as usual. You remember when they had Tim Couch and no one else on this team, and everyone was like, man, Couch? They suck.
He's a good guy.
Derek Anderson. I mean, you look at these teams, and there was nobody to be excited about. Nobody. Now they have names, right?
See you, George. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, they got Kareem Hunt. They got Odell Beckham. They got Jarvis Landry. They got David Njoku.
Baker Mayfield.
Johnny Manziel. They've had quarterback names. They haven't had any other names. Now they've got guys to go with the quarterback. That's why everyone's kind of in with the Browns, I'd say, Scott. I'm with you. They have not lived up to the hype. We were definitely not picking them to win the Super Bowl. We were the ones saying 7, 8, 9 wins.
Yeah. Well,
they didn't get there. I mean, maybe they went out, but they didn't get there.
It's a feel-good story. The Browns have been terrible for how long?
Until you hear them talk. It's the feel-good story until you hear Odell Beckham and Baker Mayfield come out there, and they're constantly talking.
It was the feel-good story.
It was. And then you heard them talk, and now you're like, those guys are kind of jerks.
But that's what it was. It was the feel-good story of the offseason.
Yeah.
The Browns are turning a page. They're going to be so much better. And blah, blah, blah. And then reality smacked them right in the face. And they're like, no, we're still good.
Jacksonville 2018. Yes, absolutely. A couple more here. Justin says he thinks the teams the Pats have played this season have 11 combined wins. The Browns have very good skill players, so he's anxious to see how the Pats defense plays against a team that is more than capable of putting up points. Cleveland has a good enough defense to keep this one close. He took Cleveland this week because it feels like a trap game to him. And again, this is exactly what I was thinking about before when I was thinking about the game. They've got a lot of big names. They've got a lot of big playmakers. This will be the first semi-legitimate offense that they're going to play realistically this season. You could say the Steelers, but come on. Steelers have lost a lot in the offense. They've lost a lot of big names. I think when you look at this game, this might be the best challenge they've had. It still won't be a good one because the Browns have no offensive line. And as soon as the Patriots get pressure on Baker Mayfield, and you've got Bill Belichick able to dial up creative stuff to get Baker Mayfield uncomfortable, this is out of the win. This game's over. Baker Mayfield has been terrible under pressure this season. He's thrown a lot of picks, a lot of bad picks. It's going to happen again against guys like Stephon Gilmore and the McCourties and everyone else in this Patriots secondary. All they got to do is frustrate Baker Mayfield, and to this point this season, it's been easy to do.
I hope the Browns beat him.
I do too.
But that being said, across the board, during the offseason and
but shit in one hand and hope in the other and see which fills up faster.
And during the offseason and our two picks right now, we're going straight across the board with the Patriots winning this game. Not because we want it to happen, because we just see it happening. Let's go to the last game.
Let's do it. Let's talk about the. Well, you say the last game. We've got two more, but this. Oh wait, no, we don't. We just talked Patriots Browns. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. We'll talk about the Raiders and the Texans. The last game for tonight.
Welcome back.
Yeah, and we're back. Sorry, spaced out there for a second. Our last game: Texans versus Raiders. Texans at home. Bad loss to a Colts team that I think they should have beat.
I just got to read these comments. Ian says he'd rather watch a rerun of paint drying. Hate both of these teams. As Steelers fans, I'll wait for Monday night. Scott says the problem is Belichick thinks this is a trap game also.
Do you think so? Do you think he's going in this? I think every game, I don't think they believe in trap games. Every game, we're on to Cincinnati, right? Isn't that his famous quote? We're on to Cincinnati. Every game matters to these guys, and I think that's part of the reason they're as good as they are. Because they don't have trap games. They don't go into Tampa Bay like the Titans did, dancing on everybody like we're a great team because we just beat the Chargers and they get upset. It doesn't happen. Better example, they don't act like the Titans after they beat the Browns week one, tell everyone you don't have the heart to win, and then lose to Jacksonville and Indy in back-to-back weeks. It doesn't happen. So, I don't know. The Patriots, part of the reason they've been as great as they've been is because they don't overlook people. So I'm 100% with you. They don't overlook anyone, Scott.
The Raiders going on the road to face the Houston Texans. Rob goes, shocker, he's picking the Raiders. Ian is saying Texans, and Dustin says, I took Houston, but man, they're so damn inconsistent. Week one, they blow things up. The next week, they can't get out of their own way. Scott says he wants to destroy that hype.
Well, to Dustin's comment here, the Texans have been inconsistent to a point this year, but I think the biggest kind of blow to them has been in their secondary, which already wasn't good to begin with. Jonathan Joseph being out at 38 years old has been tough on this team.
38?
I think he is 38. I'm not even kidding. That's not hyperbole. I use hyperbole a lot, but I think he is 38.
That would make him the oldest defensive player by a long shot.
Is Terrence Newman done? Terrence Newman was 40 as a corner. Did he retire this year, or is he still in the Vikings? I don't know. I'll look it up.
38?
I'll look it up.
I know he's in his 30s, but 38?
Go ahead. I'll look it up.
All right, Dustin says, real quick, I've been discontinued the last couple of weeks. Did you all do the contest yet? No, we have not. We are
the 31st.
We are really pushing for people to go ahead and let their friends and anyone else that you know.
Oh, I'm sorry, he's 35.
Okay, I was gonna
so
say.
Spring chicken, 1984. Man, that must be tough being born in that year, huh?
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying you wouldn't be a very good quarterback. We'll keep going. Wait,
or corner?
Both.
Yeah.
You got a bum shoulder. You wouldn't be a good quarterback either.
I wouldn't be good
but
at anything.
I would take you over Marcus Mariota, if that makes you feel better.
You're welcome.
All right.
I don't know why I thanked you, but you're welcome.
All right. And you said you're welcome. Perfect. Thank you for that.
That's what I said the first time.
And Dustin said Newman is retired, who was like 49 years old or something. First thing I typed in, Jonathan, came up Joe Biden at 76. Don't know why. I almost used that stat. Interesting fact. Jonathan Joseph, 76 years old. Okay, we'll round this out here, Drew. Let's talk about this game for another minute. I want to talk about the Raiders. We've talked all Texans. I think anytime you lose both of your starters, even though they just traded for Garen Conley from the Raiders, that doesn't fix everything. Again, it depends who you believe. Because some people are saying he's only given up 33% of his catches. He's only allowing, it's like a 48 passer rating against, or 49, whatever it was. You could say he's great. Or you could say he's allowing his guys to get open. He's allowing space to be generated. But everyone else in this Oakland secondary has been worse. And that he's not the guy to pick on. Teams are going other directions. So now that they've brought him in, do I think everything's solved? No, I don't. But I do like to see another draft pick leaving Houston for a guy that is a fringe good player.
He's better than anyone they got right now.
Yes. Does he get you to a Super Bowl?
I think he gets you closer.
So they've got more deals to make, but the problem is they've traded all the picks away.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ammo's gone. Okay, they've spent the gun. They've spent the mag, Drew. They threw the gun at the next guy.
They got 2021.
2025.
They got to. Let's use it up.
So this is the problem with not having a GM is you just throw picks at everything. They threw a third-round pick at the Raiders to get
Bill
Garrett
O'Brien
Conley.
is playing for his.
This isn't Bill O'Brien though. I think this is just the collective. Because it's from what I've read, the Texans are using multiple guys in their front office to talk about this stuff and come
Bill
up with
O'Brien is playing for his job.
Democracy is a great thing.
Well, he's coaching for his
Not
job.
always in business. Democracy is not always a great thing in business. And I think they need to have that tyrannical leader who says Garrett Conley is not worth a third-round pick. They don't have that.
He's coaching for his job.
They need to have the Banana Republic-style dictator that says, we're not giving a third-round pick for a marginal cornerback.
How often are they going to, or how often does an NFL team allow a coach to consistently barely scrape in a tough division into the playoffs and lose almost every round one game? It doesn't take very long before they move on. It doesn't. This is a business. The NFL and these teams and these owners,
but you're making the playoffs.
They want to win.
But you're making the playoffs.
Dude.
How many teams would love to make the playoffs?
Lovie Smith got let go after making the playoffs and then missing the playoffs being a 10-16.
And then he went to Tampa Bay and was like, look out. Tampa's about to be good. Look at this defense.
You did, yeah.
And then what happened? I did actually. I fell for that trap. And then what happened?
It didn't go well. My point is that's where Bill O'Brien is like, I am coaching and making moves for my job. I want to stay the Texans head coach.
I hope they fire him.
And this is
as a Titans fan, I hope they fire him. Not because I dislike Bill O'Brien. I think he's a great coach.
I think
I don't think he's the best coach, but I think he's a good coach, and I think he helps his team.
If they don't make the playoffs, is he on the hot seat?
No. Well, yes, but should he be on the hot seat? No. And the answer for that is for the simple fact of, at the end of the day, a lot of this comes down to roster. You have not had a quarterback for this man's almost entire year. You've got Deshaun Watson now. Okay,
yeah.
You've not had an offensive line for the entire time there. You're using Lamar Miller like he's the best running back in football, even though he got hurt this season. They've like now eventually finally moved on. They've got Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson, and that's supposed to solve everything. You've got DeAndre Hopkins. You've got Will Fuller, who has no hands, even though he's fast, and he has 3 games a year where he puts up like 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. The other 14, he's a ghost. Or the other 13, whatever, I can't do math. He's a ghost. You have no running game. You have no offensive line. You have no wide receivers outside of DeAndre Hopkins. Your defense is inconsistent in the fact that your front 7 is always good, but the secondary comes and goes. You can't pin it on the coach. You got to have. He can't go and make any tackles. You got to have offense. You got to have players in this team. That has been the failure of the Houston Texans, and it's why they're not beating the Patriots. It's why they're not beating good teams when they rise and fall. They're not completing their team.
And it doesn't make a difference because
it should.
The
It
NFL
won't, but it
owners
should.
want to win.
It won't, but it
Dustin
should.
says Fuller's out this week, and he picked up Kenny Stills in fantasy because he thinks that he's going to have a big game.
That's a good pickup.
It is.
I like it too. They're going to get the ball to somebody not named DeAndre Hopkins because everyone knows when DeAndre Hopkins comes to town, the ball's going that way a lot. The second man there, the Robin to that Batman, is always a good pick. I like him now that Will Fuller's out much better than I did when he was in there. That being said, they traded for him for a reason. Go ahead.
Rob says the Raiders will play some man coverage and quarterback spy plays. Stop the Texans.
You can spy Deshaun Watson, but you're asking your linebackers to be better athletes than he is right now. I don't see it. I mean, maybe if they had Montez Perfect and there's that threat of that massive bomb of a hit coming in.
Maybe.
The Texans say we don't run, but I think this is Deshaun Watson's game to lose, despite that offensive line being weak.
All right, real quick, because we talked about the Raiders, or we talked about the Texans. We said we are going to talk about the Raiders, and we got stuck back in the Texans again. What is the key for the Raiders to do to win this game against the Texans?
Derek Carr to dominate the secondary. This is on him. Tyrell Williams is supposed to be back. I know he's been banged up. Likely he's going to play in this game. Even if he doesn't, this is on what can Derek Carr do with the weapons that they've provided. I still think he's underutilized in the sense of he doesn't have enough to work with in Oakland. But Darren Waller, they have
He's a stud.
Tyrell Williams. They have guys now.
They made him a stud.
We're not going to get into it. Darren Waller's been playing fantastic.
Yes, they made him a stud.
I agree with that.
I'm not saying
they also made Jared Cook a stud.
Yeah,
who sucks on the Saints.
Josh Jacobs, is he playing or not? He says the goal is to play.
Right.
if he does play, I think it gives the edge just a little bit to the Raiders, but I don't know how much a banged up Josh Jacobs is going to make a difference in this.
This isn't a game that Josh Jacobs takes over like we talked about last week.
During the offseason, we picked the Raiders. Our picks right now, we both are going to pick the Texans to win this game. Maybe a fully healthy Raiders roster with Perfect, I'd probably pick the Raiders.
I definitely think about it. If I knew Tyrell Williams was right, if I knew Josh Jacobs was right, if I knew Vontaze Burfict was right, they're going into this game fully, close to fully healthy, whatever.
Even Terrell Williams? Did you say Terrell Williams?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd say maybe the Texans win with all the or maybe the Texans lose with all the banged up secondary they have. Right now, it's got to be Houston. Houston's going to have to bounce back. The AFC South is a closer race than everyone thinks. I mean, you got the Titans at 3-4.
Yeah.
Jacksonville's 3-4. You have the Texans, or you have the Colts at 4-3. You have the Texans at 4-3. It's anyone's game still.
Yeah, it is.
Anyone's game. The Texans will need to bounce back in a meaningful way here, and a win against the Raiders, where the Colts have lost to them, is the first step to that. Win against common opponent.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting week this week.
It is.
A lot of chalk. We didn't disagree a lot.
No, we did not. But the only disagreement was the 49ers.
49ers. And even that, I was like, maybe we go 49ers here. But I thought about it, and I said, I'm willing to bet on Christian McCaffrey. CMC.
Well, realistically, you stayed true to the offseason pick, and I went different with the 49ers.
That is true. But we were going to flip, and then I didn't. I was like, you know what? I'll give the edge to the Panthers here. Kyle Allen's undefeated, too. And he's arguably playing better than Jimmy G.
It's the battle of the undefeateds in a sense. Hey, guys, thank you again for the likes, comments, and shares. It means the world to us. Guys, it was a great show. I want to give a special thanks out to everyone that commented, and if I missed you, I'm so sorry. But Ian, Jonathan, Jacob, George, Jonathan, Jeremy, Talon, Chris, Rob, Steven, Chris, Dustin, Mike, Scott. You guys are all awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We will be back on Sunday after the afternoon games, but before Sunday Night Football. Look for us 7:45 Eastern, 6:45 Central to talk about all of these games we talked about, as well as your prime time. We'll highlight these terrible, terrible games before you have to watch them like we do. It's been a fun show, Drew. I had a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for commenting. Any final thoughts?
Go Chiefs.
My final thoughts are the Titans are great, and you're just a hater.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see more on that on Sunday. See you later.